Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Ellie. With me is Joe. Nick will be joining us soon. And yeah, tonight we're covering an all-time favorite. Oh, here. Hey, how's it going? Yep, man, thanks. I know it's going to be a good one. Oh, here. Hey, Thomas, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Sitting Ducks. What's up? All right. Yes, we got a little delayed. But yeah, hey, better late than never. But yeah, Nick is going to be a little late as usual. But so yeah, this one I remember fondly watching as a kid. Yeah, this came out in 1999, and yeah, like M. Night Shyamalan's first film, like before he went on that career with making all sorts of thrillers with twists, a few good and a few not so good ones. But this is arguably his greatest one, and it's The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to Mark about this earlier, and he even said it was his best film. You
Oh yeah,
know,
Mark
and
was in there. Okay,
I'm shocked I didn't watch it until today. That was the first time I've actually watched that film.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, Nick.
Wow, late but still earlier than Nick time.
Yeah, your mic is off.
Can't hear you though, Nick.
Yeah, your mic's off.
There we go. Yeah, I just got home a few minutes ago, so yeah, that's why I was running a little late.
I got
You're
you.
always running late. Do you even own a watch?
Yeah,
No, I have a phone. I have my
you,
phone with me as a watch.
do you look at your phone?
No.
Yes, but unfortunately, in this case, though, my phone died
Uh-huh.
right after you called me. It died.
Yeah, like there's this thing called the phone charger.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
portable ones now.
There's what?
There's portable ones now.
I've heard of those. Aren't they a little bit expensive though?
No, you can buy a double pack for like $40 at Costco.
Oh,
Anyway,
it's a little
anyway,
pricey, but
so
I'll consider it.
yeah. So yeah, Sixth Sense. This has like so much going for it. Like it was released on like yeah, like I said, 1999. And that was a huge year for cinema. I think back to 1999. Oh man, I'm thinking about Fight Club. I'm thinking about Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, The Matrix. Oh man, what else? Oh, there were
Blair
so
Witch
many.
Project.
Blair Witch Project, Toy Story 2, American Pie, Sleepy Hollow, Tarzan, Bicentennial Man, The Green Mile. The list goes on.
Wow. There were a
So
lot of
many of
great
them.
movies that year.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
there was. Now, that not
Lucy.
to
I
mention
don't
maybe
remember that year so much because I was in the hospital, on
right.
still.
Right, yeah.
But, I've seen a lot of those movies you listed off. Like one of my absolute favorites from that list was The Green Mile.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Green Mile was good.
it is. It's an amazing film.
And to respond to Kate's comment saying not the usual light setup, that's because I'm a day behind. I was going to start taking down my St. Patrick's Day stuff last night and start replacing with the Easter stuff. Unfortunately, though, I was so far too exhausted to do it last night. So yeah,
Uh,
when I get off after this tonight's gonna be the night to do so.
yeah, so, yeah, The Sixth Sense is like, I believe it's the second highest grossing worldwide film. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I think it is.
yeah, and it was released around the same time when Blair Witch Project was out. So they were pretty much competing with one another. Blair Witch Project was a huge hit as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm just shocked that movie made such a great success based on what I knew about it because at that time I was still kind of dabbling with video stores and the industry, and there
Right.
was that they won the people that made the Blair Witch Project won the blockbuster contest.
You know what other movies that came out? You forgot a few, Don, just to throw in there too. Is that was also the same year when you had like Placid,
Yeah.
Stigmata, the remakes of both House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting, Sleepy Hollow,
I
and
did say Sleepy Hollow.
you did. I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Wishmaster 2,
Hmm.
Bats, End of Days, and I'll
Oh
just
yeah,
throw
Bats.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, a
yeah,
movie called Bats.
yeah. That was one with Lou Diamond Phillips, and also he also played the Warden Norton in Shawshank Redemption. He was played the villain
No,
in this as well
I've
in
seen that.
Bat.
I saw that movie when I was really young. And I don't remember
Same,
any part of it, so I'm gonna have
I
to
do.
probably try to rewatch that movie sometime and finally throw one more movie in. And I wish Irene was in this right now because she probably might know what this movie is because it's a Japanese horror film. The disturbing and controversial film Audition.
Oh,
Did you ever hear of that one?
I don't
Or
think so.
oh, I'll
Well,
save that for another time. But I'm just gonna
another
say it
day.
for now. What I'm just going to say right now, that movie, without even though it came out the same year, '99, that movie absolutely traumatized me. And I'm telling you, Don, it's like, put it this way, it's kind of that cautionary tale of be careful who you ever go out on a date with because you never know who that person really could be, and
Yeah,
that's what makes this movie so. It's really that one movie where you'd be thinking like the filmmakers who made it.
yeah.
You'd be just thinking. Even John Landis said this once. He was like, you'd be like, what were they thinking?
I know. Yeah. Well, as for the Sixth Sense, not only was it a huge hit in the box office, it also really received. And I'm shocked that it's like, yeah, it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, but I'm shocked it did not win a single one of them. It was nominated for, let's see, Best Picture, Best Actor in Supporting Role, which went to Haley Joel Osment. Best Actress in a Supporting Role, which went to Toni Collette, who played the mom. Let's see. M. Night Shyamalan was also nominated for Best Director. I think this was the only time he was nominated for Best Director.
Once again, I mean, if it wasn't, even though it was nominated but didn't win an award or something, it's just like with what we were talking about last time, where the Oscars think these horror films suck when they actually are a lot better than they think. They just don't see it straight.
You know,
Well, I mean, there are some cases. I mean, like in this instance, 1999, like I said, 1999, there were so many big movies that came out that year, so it had some serious competition with other films.
yeah,
Like,
and some serious
No.
actors that were involved.
oh yeah,
Oh, that reminds me. Not
Well,
not not
not
the
not that
Oscars.
Bruce Willis wasn't a serious actor. I mean, but still, they had. I mean, some of those movies, like you said, The Green Mile. Look at the cast of that.
oh I know,
Yeah.
yeah, really. I mean,
You
yeah,
had
there's
Michael
also
Clark Duncan,
um,
Tom Hanks.
yeah. Let's see, it was American Beauty. That's what won Best Picture, and that was an amazing film as well.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's
it's
so.
definitely one that I think Siskel and Ebert would have given The Sixth Sense their two thumbs up.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we have commented before that horror is not very well treated fairly in the Academy Awards, but in this instance, there was some, like I said, some serious competition. So many amazing films that came out in 1999.
There was also one other movie I just thought about. Again, I wish, I'm surprised Tom's not in. You know what? Let's just say there was a movie that was released by Cronenberg, and it was what was that? What was that movie that he made in '99? It was
I didn't watch that many of his movies other than The Fly and
he
Rabid.
also did a movie in 1999. I'm looking it up right. It's like I could see what the movie was. I just can't remember the Existence.
Existence, huh? I never
Yeah,
heard of that one. I'm
which
surprised I didn't hear of that one.
yeah, that was that came out in '99, and what's actually quite surprising, it's got quite an incredible cast. I
It
mean,
does. I'm looking at it right now.
one of the main characters in this movie.
Jude
Uh,
Law,
wait,
Jennifer
hang on
Jason
one second.
Leigh, Willem Dafoe, Ian
Yeah,
Holm.
you have Jennifer Jason Leigh's in it. Judy Law, Ian Holm.
It's
Yeah,
Jude Law, not Judy Law.
Jude Law. I'm sorry.
Jude Law's a
Been a
guy.
long day. I'm tired. It's been a long day for me today. But yeah, it's got quite the amount of cast members. And typical, because David Cronenberg is also from Canada, it's a Canadian science fiction horror film, but it's actually an international co-production between Canada, the UK, and France.
Right. And let's see. This was also produced by a big Hollywood producer, Frank Marshall, who was done frequent work with Steven Spielberg. He produced the Indiana Jones movies. What else? He produced Signs, also done by Shyamalan.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
Man, what else? He directed. Let's see. He directed like he also worked as a director sometimes. Like one of my favorite movies that he directed was Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which when you it's funny to think you have him directing Arachnophobia, which is at the beginning of the 90s, and here he is working on The Sixth Sense at the end of the 90s.
producing. Yes.
Producing this time, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, also produced Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my all-time favorites. And oh man, there's like the Haley and also Haley Joel Osment. He was like 11 years old at the time when they were filming this, and he absolutely killed his role. And he actually surprised like M Night Shyamalan when during his audition, like saying, "Oh yeah, I've read everything through like 3 times in a row." And they were like, he said, "What, your lines?" And he's like, "No, the whole script. I've read it 3 times."
Jeez.
Yeah,
I
I'm
noticed
like, that
like
kid was
that.
that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see. After this, I remember he was in AI, that Steven Spielberg film, AI, Artificial Intelligence. He played David. It was the kid. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah. And also remember him for doing the voice. He was like doing the voice of Sora in one of my all-time favorite video game franchises, Kingdom Hearts.
And who we're talking about which actor, I'm sorry again?
Haley Joel Osment.
Well,
The
from what I
kid.
heard, though, I mean, I know he was amazing, but from what I've heard nowadays, he's not really the brightest of people to be around. I heard he's kind of got a little bit of a pissy attitude. That's what I've heard from some people. I mean, I don't know what he's. Although I also did notice too that I don't know if you see what he looks like now.
Yeah, he's got a beard.
Well, no, it's not the beard. He looks like he's kind of overweight. I mean, he's not. It's not looking so good.
Well, that's part of aging. Yeah.
Well, and I wouldn't say aging, but just probably not the brightest of health
Well,
sources.
when you get a little older and you get to be an adult in Hollywood, you know, drinking, drugs,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff comes into
Yeah.
play sometimes. And yeah, I seen what he looks. He got long hair and a little overweight, but that could be chalked up to a lot of things.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It could be just
But
anything.
on this film, The Sixth Sense, he did an awesome
oh
job.
He
I
did.
mean,
one
he
hundred percent.
totally had me convinced.
Yeah, like just the scenes where he was like terrified, he absolutely sold it. Like he actually looked like a scared kid.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, this is probably like one of the most best examples of such movies like this because when you really think about a movie like The Sixth Sense, it's
Hmm.
like because it's really that not only a throwback but served as an inspiration with some other horror films. Because this movie, when you look at it, or in other words, when you see other movies that are kind of similar, you notice that every classic horror film always has a creepy kid in it. You always have to have a little kid sitting or standing there whispering and usually telling these dark secrets that only they know about. And The Sixth Sense is probably, as I would say, is probably the most perfect example of providing that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
for
I,
sure.
what I also think too is like when you see the look in his eyes, the terror within his eyes of what he could see. He also differentiates from other kids in horror films. Like, because there was one person who said this in a documentary, so I'm going to use the same line, but it's like he wasn't like a kid who had special abilities like the little Danny from The Shining. He wasn't an evil little kid like Damien from The Omen. In this case, he was a little boy who just knew too much and had to live with it.
Yeah, he just had a power that was beyond his
Well,
control. He was terrified of it. Being able to see spirits.
but if you sit there and if you've listened to any of these mediums over the past few years, the real ones, like Allison from the show Medium that's based on the real life Allison,
Hmm.
she explains what she went through as a kid, and it's almost exactly like he didn't understand why he could see the dead, talk to the dead, hear the dead, what they want. He thought they were after them, after him. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really to try to.
you know,
It's like he didn't seem to understand, and this is something obviously
right.
Joe.
So he was scared to death over these. He built himself a tent, was stealing statues from the church to put in that tent to hopefully protect him
Hmm.
from what he thought was evil spirits.
And that's basically what I think the movie really demonstrates, especially now, Joe, as you know, too well within our paranormal community. Obviously, we have a lot more kids that, especially those who are kids of other paranormal investigators who have now received these type of abilities, which we're definitely seeing a much larger increase with with kids having these type of abilities. But then again, a lot of kids often will have this ability even if they don't have it later in life because their brains are still developing,
They're
and
innocent.
and the innocent. And as I would pretty much put it, like to kind of connect the dots between the Sixth Sense and the kids in real life. In this case with the Sixth Sense, unlike where I've actually worked with kids that have these abilities on a few occasions, and the difference is between from what who I've worked with in the past in this movie is that, like you said, Joe, I mean, this poor kid in the Sixth Sense doesn't seem to get the understanding that, ghosts are here to harm you, and they're going to try to do everything they can to hurt you and kill you. No, it's not anything like that at all. He was not used to seeing that type of stuff. So, understandably, it's terrifying for them.
It is.
Yeah,
And when I compare it with real life kids that I've worked with and some I've even investigated with, there was I'll actually throw in almost the exact opposite. There was Don, if you're still there, you remember when we went to Schurz High School? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So we had a
Oh, hey,
kid.
Braxton.
Hey, Braxton. So to kind of throw it out, like to kind of give almost an exact opposite of what you see with the Sixth Sense, there was one time about almost 10 years ago now where we had a few kids investigate with us at Schurz High School, and one of the kids who was only 10 years old at the time, he was investigating in my group along with his two siblings, one of which was even younger, only 7 at the time too,
Ooh.
and at first I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure because this was like their first nighttime investigation. I know, relatively unusual age for them to go on this kind of thing, but it was a group event, so it was a public event, so that's how they took part in it, and they were part of
I
my.
remember that.
I don't know if I'm not sure if you
I
were
bel
actually
I
there
think
that.
I was there.
You
I
might,
think I was. I remember I do
yeah,
remember there being other people
might have
there if we're
been.
bringing
I
that
mean,
kid.
we went there numerous times. So there were times that I knew you weren't there, but there were other times you were. I don't really remember. But from what I do know, though, is that one of the kids later came up to me, and I'm suspecting he probably had abilities of his own, where, and it was just so out of the blue that he told me this. He claimed that he was borrowing one of my pieces of equipment and was going down the hallway, and he claimed he saw a floating head coming down the stairs. But unlike the
Whoa.
case with the Sixth Sense, where again you have a boy that's about the same age as this kid was, this kid who came up to me, it's like when he told me about the supposed floating head, it was just like another part of his day. Like it was like no big deal to him. So my assumption, most likely to compare again with the Sixth Sense, is this kid probably most likely had abilities very much like what you see in the Sixth Sense, but he was so accustomed to seeing this kind of stuff that it just either he got used to it from the very start, or he had always been used to it, and it just never bothered him.
Huh. Yeah.
or he had somebody there to help him understand why he had the ability to do what he did.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was quite a remarkable response because I was not expecting that from the kid, and I was even more surprised, at the time that he didn't show any signs of fear. So again, comparing it with the Sixth Sense, I would have almost expected almost an exact type of reaction to like Sixth Sense, but it was completely the opposite. Either way, he was not actually disappointed that he got to see something because he was hoping to experience something when I was kind of teaching him and his siblings, how investigating works. Sadly, I lost contact with I've lost track and contact with that family, so I haven't really heard from them since. And considering it was almost 10 years ago, obviously now he'd be almost in his early 20s.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, yeah. Like Haley Joel Osment, he would like he really sold like really sold that performance. Like especially in certain scenes, like when he finally reveals to Malcolm what his secret was. With that one iconic line, "I see dead people."
Yeah, exactly. That is such a famous line.
It is. And let's see. Oh, I just remember one other role he was in. This is an early role. This is before this in another historical film. It was at the very ending of Forrest Gump, where he played Forrest Gump's kid
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jedi. Yeah, that's right. The son of Jedi.
and Forrest Gump
And
Jr.
Forrest Gump. Hey, his mama always told him life was like a box of chocolates. I had to say it.
Of course. Of course. Anyway, so yeah, like even like I saw him back in that movie, I was like, oh my god, that's that kid from The Sixth Sense.
I didn't even know that would. I would have never thought in a million years that would be him.
Oh man. It's like so that's two of the that's two big like A-list movies. Seriously. Like that's incredible. And apparently he like I think I read somewhere that he did audition to play Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace, but that
Really?
went oh yeah, but that went to another kid child actor who I don't think that kid's acting anymore.
I was going to say, whatever happened to that kid?
Let me look it up right now. Phantom.
Obviously, now you would have to be like in his late 30s.
Oh, at least. Let's
Yeah,
see. Oh yeah, Jake Lloyd. That's who he is. So
Jake Lloyd. Okay.
Jake Lloyd. He was. I remember him also in Jingle All the Way. Let's see. Yep, he was in that too. Let's see. Looks like he quit acting like in 2002.
Oh, he retired? Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, he was being mistreated by other kids to the point where he just didn't want to act anymore.
It's always the worst.
Well,
Then again, yeah. He may have just
Wait, diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2015. Arrested for reckless driving without a license and domestic violence. Oh Jesus.
well, you think about this. Some of these kids get forced into this because their parents just see them as a paycheck.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is
and,
a reality that some of these child actors face.
and before the kids got protected back in the 60s and the 70s, the child actors, you had a lot more of those child actors dying before they became too much of an adult,
I
you
know.
know. And usually by taking their own lives, like Data Plato, who was on a TV show from the 70s, you know.
Yeah, I
You
remember
know.
hearing about some child actors who like went down the wrong path and
Oh,
then
yeah.
ended
Yeah.
up either committing suicide or overdosing on drugs. Like let's see, one teen idol from back in the '90s and early 2000s, Aaron Carter. I remember him.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, Aaron Carter. Yeah, I loved some of his music that he
Let's
did.
see, and also in that Disney show, the famous Jet Jackson. I remember that show. I heard that main here. Let me see.
And there was another one I was thinking. This is from the early 2000s.
Here,
What
let's
was
see.
her?
Lee Thompson Young. That's his name. Let's see.
They just can't handle the fame. They get
Well,
too famous.
it's not only just. There's also other occasions too where sometimes some of these child actors, when they star in these movies or
Oh my god!
television shows,
It says suicide. It says suicide by gunshot. Died before he even turned 30.
oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Christ.
Well, there's also another negative side effect of some of these child actors that star in these movies and television shows, or even like doing music, is that on some occasions their childhood career is a huge success. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, as they grow older, they don't have the same type of
Well, no, because they're stereotyped to that,
yeah,
to
they
whatever
don't
they
have
portrayed.
they don't have as much success or as much fun as they did when they were kids. That things were changing, and a lot of them end up quitting or retiring from it, like you said with Jake Lloyd. But I was just thinking of one other example. I can't remember her name. Um, but you'll know who this. I'm sure you're gonna know who this is, Don, because she
Yep.
was in a show in the early. She was in a couple different shows, but her most famous one was she played the character Sam in the show iCarly. What
I
was?
didn't watch iCarly. Here, let me take a look at that.
Yeah, that was. I'm trying to remember her name. She was the blonde haired
It wasn't
girl.
no, not Miranda Cross Cosgrove. Jeanette McCurdy.
No, no. Who?
Jeanette McCurdy.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah, she was unfortunately kind of as much as it looks like she's having fun on the show, she was kind of forced into it. And not surprisingly, if you didn't know this, Don,
Yep.
about 2 or 3 years ago, she just recently released a book detailing how that she was forced to do a lot of this stuff. And here's the ironic part.
Yeah.
She wrote this book involving her mom. This was right after her mom had died.
Oh,
So to her, as cruel as it sounds, this book is kind of more or less kind of reflecting on her disgust that her mom forced her to get involved with this kind of stuff against her will, practically, and
my
sadly.
God.
Well, it's because, parents, when their kids got talent and then they're getting recognized, all they see after that is no longer their child. They see a paycheck.
Yeah, they see
Yeah,
dollar signs.
that is true
You know,
in some cases.
and that power of greed is an ugly, ugly force.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And
Makes
it's just
people do some pretty ugly things.
yeah, it's scary the kind of damage something like that can do. Uh, let's see. And I just love the way they adapted like the ghosts in this, and like all the tropes of it, such as the room temperature dropping when when a ghost is in there. And let's see.
The way the camera kind of changed,
Yep. And also
the,
the how they
the
still
lighting,
yeah,
the lighting changed of the cameras.
and how the ghosts still carry the physical injuries that they had when they were alive, when they were upon death,
Yeah,
like that abused housewife who like Nicole had came across in the kitchen, and she had like her wrists were cut.
or the kid that said, "I'll show you where my dad's gun hides where my dad hides his gun," and the back of his head was like shot out.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
that's
was the exit wound.
Right, and
basically the way I could
and then
describe
he
it.
had the three bodies on top of the stairs.
Yeah,
that
they were
were
hanging
Yeah,
on the
because
nooses.
they did mention before that property those grounds during like colonial years they used to hang
hang
people.
It was
people.
a
Yeah,
gallows.
yeah, he said that, and it's like, they never hung people here.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
well,
But
and kind of connecting again the dots with real paranormal stuff. There actually are a few schools out there around the world that were former sites of gallows or execution sites. There was a famous one, I believe. I think it was actually featured on Paranormal Caught on Camera. There was a boys' school out in the UK, I believe, and that is definitely it's a school that's existed for almost probably about 800 or 900 years. So it's one of the oldest schools in the world, and the staff and students are well aware and definitely do believe that it's a very haunted school. But the reason behind that was because it was formerly a gallows and execution site. So it's
Oh my God.
probably as closest to you can get to like a real. But there's plenty of locations like that in the Sixth Sense. But the way I like with the ghosts involved in this movie is the fact, again, like the others, it pretty much goes by the definition of what ghosts really are. You could tell that these were people that were you're seeing what they looked like formerly in life, obviously in this case of how they died. The
Right.
room temperature drops where it gets freezing, which is typical in real life paranormal experiences. Of course, obviously I've experienced that for myself, and just that feeling of being watched, or just that unsettling feeling that you get
yeah,
prior to having an encounter. So it's
where the hair stands up on your
hair
arm
stands up,
or
you get
back of
goosebumps.
your neck, and yeah,
Yeah.
I've gotten those feelings before in some locations too. You get all of a sudden, it could be 90 degrees outside, and you hit a cold spot. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
it just kind of your senses just go nuts because you feel all of that.
And I
Yeah,
think that's what the Sixth Sense really demonstrates. And you have to think to yourself
Does a
too.
good job doing it though too.
Yeah, they do. Well, and you also, and I said this last week, Don, because this is another example to add to this. Due to the fact that this was 1999 when it came out, this was pretty much around the time when, again, a lot of the, when I said last week, when a lot of the paranormal documentaries and were coming out. At that time, just individual documentaries, not like full series. So you also had a lot of those real life experiences coming out around the same time due to the Sixth Sense success, and it was released during the height of that popularity.
right. That's true. Oh man, I'm thinking back to like other ghosts that you see. Like then you get to the point where you see the girl, the little girl spirit, the vomiting one.
That's what I was about to bring up next. I was going to say the terrifying scene in the movie. I think for me, it was when we see the little girl being murdered, and then she later appears in the tent the little
Yeah,
boy had made.
yeah, which gets destroyed. I mean, this is symbolic. This is actually symbolic because Cole was pretty much using that tent to like just hide from the spirits. Like that was his
He had
sanctuary.
all
Yeah,
this. Yeah, he had all this. You know, if you watched him when he was in church, when he left, he grabbed one of the statues and took him with him. Took
Yeah,
it
it's
with
like
him.
a use of
yeah,
protection.
And then
yeah,
when you saw the inside of the tent, there was all kinds of statues from churches all around in there.
yes, that's right.
You know, and
So yeah,
candles burning. Like this was a sanctuary that he was protected in.
yeah, and now that that spirit had destroyed that sanctuary, like he was forced to have to face the ghosts and and figure out what they want from him. And so
Well,
they had unfinished. It turns out these ghosts are just people who had unfinished business in the world and were not ready to move on. In this
and
case, the
or
little
didn't
girl
know they
wanted,
were dead yet. You
yeah,
know,
Girl was
yeah,
he
didn't
said that
realize they
too.
were, again, like the others. They
Didn't
didn't
realize
realize
they
they
were
were
dead
dead.
yet.
Yeah, they
yeah,
didn't realize they were dead, and the unfinished business once again, as you
Yep.
see in the others. And I got, and in this case, the little girl in this case was seeking justice for her death. And I will admit, by the way, when the camera moves over, like pans over and shows her with her vomiting out of her mouth,
yeah.
I gotta say that sequence
Oh
was
my god,
intense with the
yeah,
ghost of the little girl. I mean, my heart was just pounding at that point. It was so unbelievably scary.
it was
But
like there's some disturbing like makeup effects on these ghosts that even when like everything is calm in the scene like in the like one of the last ghosts that he sees is that in the film one of the ghosts that he sees inside the school when he is about to go on the play, it looks like he's talking to someone like somebody like helping him put the makeup on for the play. His teacher comes in and says, "Who are you talking to?" That woman gets up, turns her head, and it turns out she has burns, severe burns on
yeah,
her. Like she had died in a fire in that school, which the teacher then revealed a little bit a minute later that there was a fire in that auditorium that the auditorium had burned down years before.
school had quite a dark history.
It
It
does.
seems.
People getting hanged in the gallows and auditorium catching fire. I'm guessing that was like a teacher or staff member, someone dying in the fire. I guess.
It just goes to show that when you, again, connecting with real paranormal haunted locations, it just goes to show that anytime you have some type of tragedy that occurs, be it a house or a school or whatever, practically, you're most likely are going to have some kind of paranormal activity occur at that particular location. And in this case, with all the ghosts you see in that movie, you understood why the ghosts were there and what they're doing and
Yeah,
why they're here.
that is true. Yeah,
Well,
like
that's because they realized that the little boy, what was his name, Cole?
Cole.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it was
Yeah,
Cole.
that he could see and hear them.
Yeah.
So he's like a
So
magnet.
like the little girl, it's like she's looking for justice. Like anybody that's going to get killed by their mother like that, they're going to want justice. I mean, you talk about a sick woman. She was only keeping the girl alive and sick so she could get the sympathy thing.
Yeah, exactly. And she was doing the exact same thing to the other sister. So really, when you think about it, Cole pretty much by doing his part in exposing the truth also saved the other sister's life.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was going to be. It would have been a potential what is known as a familicide then, because she would have ended up killing the other sibling. And I mean, it doesn't say exactly what specific purpose that she was trying to get, other than I assume most likely she just wanted the husband all to herself. But there's also something else that someone I saw a clip of it on YouTube, and somebody made a good point about her appearance. Have you noticed during that scene when she is confronted by her husband, that the truth was now out? Did you guys notice that she was the only person that wore red as opposed to everybody else that wore like the typical funeral attire?
Yeah.
She wore red, and it was kind of like and yes, I mean, obviously I've been to funerals myself where people wear red too. Sounds normal enough. But the red that she's wearing though is like a kind of like a deep, almost blood red color, which
Yeah.
just gives like kind of a very eerie and very negative vibe to it. Almost kind of satanic when you
Well,
really
that's a good way that they. That's the good way that to make her evil. You
yeah.
know. You know.
Oh yeah, the curse of La
I think when
Llorona and
the
the grudge.
father watches that video at the same time, I kind of thought, what is this kid making a video? And I'm also thinking maybe not. Maybe there's a nanny cam there, and she knew it was there, and that's why she was doing the whole drum. And then she hit, quit, and the camera kept running.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's got to be a nanny cam,
Yeah, and like then it shows like the mother didn't know the camera was on and
right?
just pouring that floor cleaner. I'm guessing what that stuff was, some
Or
kind of
something,
chemical.
Yeah.
whatever, poison enough to keep her alive but not kill her right away. And
By adding small doses.
Yeah, small doses because I've seen like some people doing messed up things on shows like what was it, Forensic Files, where they poison with like involving poison. Like I've seen people use drain cleaner. I've seen people use what is that, antifreeze.
Yeah, and then of course there was that recent, not to get political, there was that whole thing a few years ago where Trump instructed everyone to use bleach, inject themselves with bleach. Oh my God, that would have been horrible.
Oh
People
my
actually,
god,
you
that would
know,
have burned you out. That would have burned you from the inside out,
it would have.
literally.
you know, I
Thank
still
God no
think
one
that
fell
the
for that.
mom was trying to get that sympathy thing. Oh, I got a sick child, and all these people are getting. It's kind of like what do they call that? Munchausen's disease, where
Yeah,
somebody's faking being sick to get attention from the doctors.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
it was all
she's
just
making her daughter sick to get the attention from all her rich friends.
yeah. I'm guessing she was like some neglected housewife kind of scenario and just wanted all this attention for herself.
Right.
I just think either,
And she took it too far and killed her daughter.
Yeah,
I
And
think in my personal, hey, what's up, Irene?
I
Irene's
mean,
watching.
and just the idea that people like there are people like that in real life that just disgusts me.
you
Well, and
know,
I think in a
but
way,
when she
yeah,
slid that box under
yeah,
the bed to Cole, I was like, and he opened it up and it was VHS tape. I'm going, wow, that really shows the age of nanny cams.
it really
It
does.
had been hooked up to a VCR through a cord to the back of the VCR, and then the VCR had to be recording.
Hmm.
So,
The
like
other
you
thing,
said, the mom didn't know that the VCR was still on record for that
Juicy
nanny
road.
cam, and then turned around, and the daughter, before she died, must have grabbed it and hid it.
Yeah.
no, the other thing too about that, I mean, again, like I just said a few minutes ago, it could be attention. I mean, again, they never really explain what specific purpose she was trying to get out of this. Yes, maybe it's for attention. That's another good theory. Like I said, maybe it was all she just wanted the husband all to herself and wanted no kids at all. I mean, I don't think we're ever really going to know exactly what the specific reason was, but you just knew that as I would
Oh,
just after
Breck,
he confronts her.
Braxton makes a good point.
See, playing crazy, get a check or power of attorney or conservatorship cases. Like, yeah, maybe like some type of even though it's unlikely with kids, get some kind of inheritance or something. That could be another
Well,
possibility.
Yeah, I mean that's typical. Yeah, I mean, well, kids do get have life insurance too. I mean, I've
Oh, life
seen.
insurance.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
life insurance. I
you
meant to say
know,
life
in this
insurance.
movie, I'm willing to bet the whole thing that woman was doing it for attention because she acted like it. I mean, look at the red dress at a funeral. Most people wear black,
Yeah,
Yep,
especially like if you're a widow or you lost a child, you'd be wearing black.
black.
You
Some
know,
occasions white,
so
but for the
you
most
got
part,
all these
usually
people
black.
wearing black and you're wearing something that's blood red. You're going to get some attention.
yeah,
Look at the
Yeah.
crowd that was around her at the, when before the truth was revealed.
right.
She was doing it for attention. I'm willing to bet on that.
That's the most. I think that is the most likely possibility.
Here now, check this out. Irene just said this from my personal page.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised she's not joining, but I'll read what she says in the comment. She said, "I can relate to this movie because my eldest son was the same age when he saw stuff, and as a parent, and I as a parent had to watch him go through what he did." And
Hmm.
she just also made another comment. Yeah, just like what I figured. She said, also out again, typical like throughout most cultures. She says in Japan they wear black, but the dead in this case they were white at a funeral.
Ah, I see.
Hey, Ed, good to see you.
Tips top
Which, by the
notch.
way, if you guys didn't know, I'm going to be on Ed's show and just later this week as a guest, which I'm
Oh,
really looking forward to being on. That's going to be uh, this upcoming Sunday, so it'll be good chatting with Ed
oh,
on the
nice.
show. So I'm looking forward
Let's
to
make sure to come over there to heckle you guys.
it. I'll send the link when
Yeah,
I'm live for that, but
yeah.
I'm really excited, Howie. Can't wait.
If you're there at the start of the show, I'll just send a message saying, "Oh, so you're on time for this show, but not on mine."
Well, there's a difference because I'm
Uh,
only
Oh,
coming on
oh,
as a
really?
guest.
Oh,
there's a
really?
difference, really.
Yeah, I'm a guest on that show.
But
And
you're
you're my
the
co-host.
co-host of this show, and it says so at the beginning. Don, Helmy, and Nick, you know, eh, you show up late all the time since I've been
Well,
part of the show.
not necessarily today. I was here about 2 minutes
Maybe two
or
times
so.
you've been on time before the show started since I've been part of it.
Yeah, well, wait. I was only 2 minutes late when I first got here
But
tonight.
Still
I
late.
was still here before you.
Still late.
I was out of the house though. I didn't have much control.
Yeah, still late.
Come on, hackle away, Joe.
2 rows and oh,
So what are you going to be talking about on that one?
um, I don't know. I
Anything
guess I'll just
good?
have to find
Oh,
out what
yeah.
we're gonna. I know they're gonna have questions for me, so it should be a good show. Though it should be. Yeah, it's gonna be a. It's called the Orion Effect. That will be at Sunday, 7 o'clock this
Ryan
evening.
fact.
Okay. Well,
Are you an
So,
so
okay,
Elvis?
well that's EST. So
Are
that'll
you
be
an
about
Elvis fan, Howie?
okay 7 p.m. EST. So that's gonna be about 6 o'clock our time then.
right. And yeah, this movie also had a really chilling opening. I mean,
Yeah, it did.
yeah, it really started off with a bang,
Yeah, I did. And
literally and figuratively.
that kind of proves he was also Bruce Willis. His character was having some self doubt being a psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist, when that guy came to shoot him because, he was bringing up some good points like, you didn't help me. You could have helped me with this. You could have.
Yeah. Like oh, it's also worth noting that that character Vincent was played by Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, I know. I thought
I
that
didn't
was.
recognize. Was he really?
Yep.
I didn't even notice that it was
Yep.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Yep. He was younger.
Oh, much younger.
Yep.
Guys, I'll be back in just a
Uh,
second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he was.
I
Then I remember him. Another horror film he was in. Let's see, he was in several more. Let's see, the Saw franchise. He was in that. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I know all about that guy.
Yeah, and Dead Silence.
I want to comment on this. Howie, I was asking if you were an Elvis fan because the Orion Effect. There was a book by Gail Brewer Giorgio called Orion that they did that was based on the possibility of Elvis, is all fiction, but she called it Orion because it had something to do with Elvis.
Right.
So I
And
just
yeah, and so
this
yeah,
question.
like yeah, I actually used to have like a DVD copy of Dead Silence. When I first got it, it was like the unrated version. And just so you know, the unrated version that just means more violence. So because the reason why I say that is because my dad, when I got that, my dad looked at that and said unrated, and I'm like, he thought it meant like graphic nudity or something. I looked at him, I said, not what it means, but it is explicit in other ways though.
That's the first thing that goes through my mind too.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
at
Nick,
least
you
used
missed
to
it, Nick.
go
I
through
went
my mind.
yeah, Nick, I was telling him that I once had a copy of Dead Silence on DVD back in the day, and
Oh yeah.
my dad looked at it and yeah, like because when people this when I say when sometimes when people they see like unrated, like sometimes they think like graphic nudity, and so but no, in this case it meant like violence. So so when my dad saw I had a copy, he's like unrated, and then he gave me a weird look, and I'm like, not what it means, but it is graphic in other ways though.
I will say this: Did you ever hear what Dead Silence original title was supposed to be?
Oh hey Billy, how's it going?
Did you ever hear of what
Yes, it is Billy. More gore. Yes. All right, what Nick?
Did you ever hear what, just to throw this out, you ever heard of what the original title of Dead Silence was supposed to be?
What? Yeah,
Shh.
just that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Donnie Wahlberg was in that. He was in the Saw movies. So yeah, like Sixth Sense was like the start of that. But yeah, that was a chilling like opening scene. Like a former patient of his coming back and then pulls out a gun and shoots him and then kills himself. Like my God, I remember being shocked when I saw that as a kid. I was just like, oh my
Right?
God.
Wasn't his wife there too when that
Yeah.
Yeah,
happened?
his wife was there when that happened, and
Yeah.
throughout the movie, it looks like as if he's still with his wife, and it almost appears like she's having an affair, but obviously it's not the case.
That's exactly what I thought
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, I thought that too. But
I didn't
yeah, but no,
realize.
obviously we get the understanding, right in the last moments of
yeah.
the film.
Yeah, well, I figured it out right around the time that he went to his wife's, where his wife's living. It's still the same place, and the guy's coming out of her house and getting in the car, and Bruce Willis is sitting there yelling at him like, "Hey, hey," and the guy just gets in the car, doesn't even look, and stuff like that. That's when I realized that Bruce Willis was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too about that's the other thing I should have brought this up once I joined, and Eli Roth actually made this comment on a documentary, but with the way how the Sixth Sense is really put together, especially involving the ghosts, I mean,
Mhm.
let's think about it. M. Night Shyamalan, instead of just waiting for something to happen, he tells you what you're going to see and builds a
Yeah.
story from there. In
He
this
kind of
case,
he does.
yeah, in this case, obviously, kid sees, I see dead people. I see dead people. Knowing that he sees dead people and knowing that you're going to see dead people yourself, it's still absolutely terrifying.
It is. It really is. Billy,
If he's,
I already read your comment, Billy.
I always see like M. Night Shyamalan in a way, almost kind of like the teller of these stories when you really think about it. Like some people would think because he's telling you what you're gonna see, it may sound more like a spoiler than anything. And
Right.
that may be true to some degree, but think about it. He may be telling you what you're gonna see, and it may seem like kind of a spoiler, but that may seem like kind of a spoiler, but what we don't know though is what are these ghosts gonna look like? And
Yeah.
that's the part that makes it
Or why they're there.
Yeah. Like that was a good payoff. Like where it just keeps in suspense in that manner. You don't know when a ghost is gonna pop up. You don't know what they're gonna look like. You don't know you
yeah,
don't know any of it. And
you would think
but
maybe again like
I
you
was gonna
think
say
maybe
about
like smoky figures or something like that, and that's not the case at all. They're seen as like full body apparitions.
yep, he did do two movies before this one. Yes. Um what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like Malcolm's wife, I believe her name was Anne. Yeah, like she was working at a jewelry shop, and she made a comment that like jewelry from dead people has like whoever owned that like has a link to that item. That plays a very big role in the plot twist. So that was actually a good bit of foreshadowing right there in that scene.
See, that clip, that beginning moment of Sixth Sense also kind of, I think, really taught me a message too, especially again as a paranormal investigator myself, that again, like I said earlier, that I've actually worked with a few kids in the past with this kind of stuff. And in a way, I wouldn't necessarily in this case call myself like a social worker or, like in this, or like a paranormal or parapsychologist in this case. I wouldn't necessarily call myself that.
Right.
But I knew at the time when I was with kids that, especially those that had abilities of their own, that it was important to work with kids and get them to grow accustomed knowing that they have these abilities. This is something that they're going to have to live with. I mean, I'm not going to be that person saying, "Well, this is what you got to live with," and that's it. You
Right.
just kind of just have to teach them to really understand what it what all these experiences are, and that it's not it. While it can be scary for quite a long time, it's not considered like a harmful effect to these kids. So like that opening scene really told me, I thought to myself, if I work with kids who, grow up, it's always best that I try to the best of my abilities to really get them to understand and just accept that this is something that they just have to live with. I mean, unfortunately,
Right.
there's no real escape from dealing with that. It's it's a gift, but once again, it's one of those things that once you have it, you basically have to deal with it then for the rest of your life.
Right. Man.
So that to me was not only just an insane opening, but more importantly, it it really sends a message, to a lot of kids who've grown up with these type of abilities.
Yeah, that's crazy. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there, you know how Cole's last name is Seer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of like a play on words. Like seer, seer of ghosts.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I always thought that. So yeah, I was wondering if that many people if that was. I'm pretty sure that was intentional. I like yeah, I wonder how many people actually caught on to that at first.
I honestly never even knew about that. That just with you bringing that up, Don, I would never have thought in a million years of that. The seer.
Yeah, because yeah, his name is spelled Seer like Sear, but it could be I'm thinking, wait, Seer,
I
Seer.
was thinking like the store seers, but no, now I could see it. Yeah, seer.
Oh yeah, and let's see. And also, what's really unique about this film, casting Bruce Willis as a child psychologist who wants to help the kid, help him with his problem with seeing ghosts. This is like not the kind of role you would typically expect from Bruce Willis after all the action films he had starred in. I mean, he was known for, oh man, when you look at his resume, the Die Hard franchise, Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys, let's see, The Fifth Element.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's what the guy's known for, starring in all sorts of action films. So like this was a really big change of pace.
it was, and that was quite a breakthrough compared to what he previously had done. And Don, just real quick, just wanted to let you know, Irene is going to be joining us. I
Oh,
had to wait till my phone charged up so I could send a link to her. So, but she's coming on in a minute or so.
okay, great. Let's see. Oh, I should also mention the actress who played Cole's mom. Yeah, like Annie. Yeah, or wait, no, she didn't play any of this. I was about to say I got mixed. I got the names mixed up. She played Annie in Hereditary.
Yep,
So
I remember.
another big horror film. Yeah, she was nominated for an Academy Award for this film, and because she actually did a great job with this. Like in certain scenes where, like especially like near the end, where especially like at the end where she and Cole are in the car together, and there's a whole big traffic jam because of an accident, and Cole like finally reveals to her that what his gift was after saying like there was a terrible accident, a woman died, and she's standing right next to me, and finally revealing that he's capable of seeing and communicating with the dead. At first, his mama like is in complete disbelief about it until she told him like something about a fight that she had with her mother, something that he could. There was no way he could have known about when she was little, going to a dance recital, and that when she went to visit her grave alone, she asked a question, and the response was yes. And there's no way he could have known that unless either she told him about that or the grandmother told him about that, and the grandmother was dead.
Yeah, it's
So
that's
that was like she really sold it in that part. Like when she got all emotional when she
yeah.
came to when she came to the realization that Cole really is telling the truth, that he is seeing dead people, and comes to the realization that death is not the end.
And he wasn't the one moving the bee pendant or
The
whatever
bumblebee
that was.
pendant, yes,
No,
Yeah,
yeah, no, he
bumblebee
wasn't.
pendant.
yes,
Yeah, because when he explained that to her, she was getting very emotional, and you knew right away that she was going to believe him when it was all said and done right there
yeah,
because of how
Absolutely.
emotional she was getting, and he was saying things that he wouldn't have known, like that story about the argument that his mom and grandma got into
right.
probably before he was born.
I was
It
thinking
had
the
to have
same
been before
thing.
he was born.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking too. I
Yeah,
thought to myself, this probably must have had to occur before he was ever
And
born. And
he knew, and if she never told him the story, how do you know the details?
exactly.
right,
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. You think of compare all this together, it's like there's no way he could have known unless the grandma told him, and the
yeah,
grandma was dead. And that Toni Collette who plays her, like she's amazing. Seriously, like one other favorite scene that I liked was when she prepared Cole's breakfast. This is like way at the start of the film. Prepared his breakfast, Cocoa Puffs, which I also loved as a kid, by the way.
I never liked
like
Cocoa
cuckoo
Puffs.
for Cocoa Puffs.
Yep,
I never ate those, to be
I loved
honest.
it. But yeah, like so she leaves. I love the panning, the tracking shot where she moved out of the room for a few seconds to get a new tie for Cole. She leaves, everything in the kitchen's normal, right? She goes back in. All like not all of them, but a majority of the drawers and the cabinets are open.
Yeah, more
Yeah,
than
I'm like, wow, that was
more than she closed.
yeah, that was amazing how they pulled that off. And
yeah.
that reminds me of something I did when I was a kid. So like me and my family first saw The Sixth Sense
Oh,
for the very first time. Oh, here,
we'll go
hey
this.
Irene, here I'll continue with
Hey,
this.
Yeah, Irene.
Hey Irene,
hey.
hey, you're just in time. I was just telling them how this scene from The Sixth Sense reminds me of something from childhood. So it was back in 1999 when me and my family had first saw this movie, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so like I was having breakfast the next day, and my my dad like left the room for a few minutes. I opened all the drawers in the cabinets, went back to
Oh,
sit down, and my dad came back in. He saw that. He just looked at me, smiled, and he said, "Very funny, Don."
That was a good one.
yeah, being a misfit there, Don.
Yeah, because he saw the movie too, so like he knows what I was why he knows why I did that.
Kiss up,
You
baby.
know, can I can't help but think about this. That just made me think of another movie, and it's another paranormal movie that came out almost 20 years earlier. Well, about 18 years earlier, and that's
Mm-hmm.
Poltergeist with the chairs that were put up. I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine if Don? Can you imagine if can you imagine if you figure out the way of like putting the chairs up like that?
I know, right? We also got to cover that movie this year.
Yeah,
We
I'm
will.
surprised we haven't. Yeah,
We
that's another good one.
we will.
Yeah.
We will. But I will announce what we're covering next week. Saw 2.
Oh, Saw 2.
That
Okay.
goes
Yep.
there.
It's been a while since we covered a Saw movie, so I figured, yeah, why not? Let's get back into it.
Lois may want to join that one because as I told you a while back, she's a huge fan of the Saw movies.
Well, she's more than welcome.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, how's everything, Irene?
Oh, not bad.
Yeah.
Been busy.
Uh yeah. Same here. I've had my cousin just got married, so yeah, I've had a busy week.
Congrats. I was
Congrats.
gonna say congrats to your cousin, Don.
Oh yeah, Gabby, yeah, we're all thrilled for her.
I saw a picture of you, by the way. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, and the tux. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have it. Hang on.
Yep,
uh,
handsome dude
yeah.
right there.
Yep, there's me in the suit and the Oakleys.
Say this, Hugh. I mean, for everyone who's watching, Hugh, believe it, ladies, this guy's single.
Oh my gosh.
Not,
So my son. He's
well,
also
not
single.
well, not by choice.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all right. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, busy week because I had that going on, and I pretty much blew everybody's minds at the ceremony. I was one of the 5 people who had to get up and say this part of a prayer, and
Mhm.
we were given like sheets to to get an idea of what we're going to be saying. I memorized my portion of it just 2 days prior. First read it 2 days prior. Memorized the whole thing on the spot
Wow, good job,
and
Don.
and I read it out. I read it without even looking down at the paper that they give you at the podium.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah,
great job.
read the whole thing, and everybody's minds were blown. They're like, "How do you?" They're like, "You actually memorized all that?" And like, they were like, "Wow, like you actually. That's amazing how you can memorize those things." I'm like, "It's what I do." I
If I was your Don, you would have blown my mind too. So that's fantastic.
Anyway, let's get back to the movie. So, Irene, did you first see The Sixth Sense when it came out?
I did. I did. And it was at the right time. Uh, you know, afterwards, my mom explained, she goes, you know what? That runs with me. And I go, Okay. And then I let my kids watch it and they go, and my eldest son said, well, I can relate to that because that runs in with me too. And I go, okay. So so
Oh,
we're all going, okay, what else is new, right? And my daughter says, oh yeah, that runs with me too because I can relate to that too. I go, okay. And my youngest son side, he goes, oh, I can relate to that too. So we're all going,
everybody's really into it, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
just
everybody understands it. And everybody knows that you can't talk about it. Not
Hmm.
in this
yeah,
country. No.
Oh,
Um. No. Oh, I think we'd all
yeah.
be shipped off to the loony bin if we did.
oh man. So we get.
Unfortunately, that's the case. I mean, as much as I know, Irene, like to speak about it. It's difficult to do so when it's often kind of kept
Yeah.
quiet about.
Yeah,
Sadly,
I never really got that. It's like, like there's all, and like in religion, they always tell you like, there's about God, talking about, how
Mhm.
our spirit is carried on to the afterlife. It's like, I'm thinking, okay, so it's okay to believe in God, but it's not okay to believe that there's spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't God supposed to be the Holy Ghost?
Yeah.
yeah, he's the
Yeah.
holy.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
like,
there's that word, ghost.
yeah,
Yep,
exactly. So,
which obviously means when you really think about it, God's pretty much a ghost himself.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in addition to that too, even there's like other cultures out there that do believe in other figures of higher power of
there
some
Mhm.
sort.
there are, yeah, like in
Yeah, there are, and they're kind of considered ghosts themselves as well.
yeah,
Mhm.
like in Hinduism, there's multiple gods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Here too. Our cat's a god. They become a god when they die. A human becomes a god when they die after 100 days. Um. Um. The dog can be a god when he dies. Everybody can be a god because as long as they have a living thing, they are presented as a god. A tree is also a god because it was created, and we must give homage and respect all nature and yeah,
So
everything about it.
it's almost basically like everyone and everything,
Mm-hmm.
becomes something, after they've died in this case, be it an animal, a human, or a plant or a tree of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They become a
interesting.
deity. Yeah.
Yeah, a deity. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it comes down to respecting everyone in all nature.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that tradition.
You
That's
don't,
real. That's
if
really
you
well
don't, you get resurrected as a dung beetle.
done.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Or oh my god, let's
Or
see.
you know what? If you're bad, if you're bad in life, you become bad in death. So you come back as a steer and you become slaughtered and eaten by humans.
Oh my God! Wow.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
that's definitely a way of punishment like
yeah, I
that.
never
Yeah,
even thought of that. Let's
Yeah.
divine
see.
punishment.
Like, yeah, when
Yeah.
you think about the slaughterhouses and you think about the ways that they kill animals and all that. Oh my god. And
Obviously, there
but
are some places out there that have humane ways, but unfortunately, there's a lot of other ones out there
oh,
that still.
Oh, hey, believe me, I'm total about humane. The only animal that I do kill for food personally was live lobster, and I'm not. Don't worry, I'm not one of those guys who's just going to chuck lobster inside of boiling water or just throw it on the grill on the spot. I'm not just going to burn an animal alive. I'm not a
No.
monster. I'm just yeah. What you do is you take on what I did was I took a knife and just put it right through the lobster's head, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they
It's
do
dead.
with
Yeah, it's
that's
dead before
actually,
it's dead before it can feel anything. And
that's the other thing too. I think they actually do that too with cattle in a very similar way
yeah,
nowadays. Except it's not stabbing through the head. They'll usually take it through like kind of like a conveyor belt, and they do it in a way so it doesn't alarm the cow. So it's a way like they don't see it coming. And
right.
then
Mm-hmm.
once they get to this part of the conveyor belt, they bash the head real quick to the point. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it may sound brutal, but
it is.
it's a quick kill to the
You
point they don't
know,
even see it
Yeah,
coming.
let's
I'm
just
They,
gonna
let's
tell
just say
you
I'll never
something.
work in a slaughterhouse.
I'm gonna tell you something. I I lived about, what was it? I'd say they were about a half a mile down the road
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
from me. There was a slaughterhouse, all right, with cattle. And
Mm.
when it came time for them to do that, the noise was I mean,
oh God, it had to be
Oh,
horrible.
the noise
yeah.
No.
was worse than any horror movie I've ever seen
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the cows knew it was coming. So you wouldn't hear them do it like a normal, moo moo type thing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'd be like
Like
shrieks.
they'd be like
Screeching.
shrieking, crying out loud, and you'd hear that pneumatic hammer going off because
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
this was back when that's the only way they did it. They took them and they went on like a conveyor belt and boom,
Yep.
hammer would hit them hard in the head enough to shatter their skull and kill them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Second, I was gonna say
And
just real
because
quick.
they knew it was coming, they would
Yeah,
make such the most ungodful noises, and you get a whole herd of cows making that noise. You can hear it for miles.
jeez. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna throw this out. Back in high school, when I learned about like history, like Chicago history, unfortunately, Chicago in the 1880s and 90s and early part of the 20th century had a reputation for slaughterhouses like that, not just for cows, other types of livestock. And I
Mm-hmm.
So
still,
we're getting ghost cow. We're gonna see ghost cows now, just like old days.
no, it's not, it wasn't paranormal. It was just like a history documentary, and what I will say, I still remember this 15 plus years later where they were showing, of course, obviously it was just sound effects that they were adding because obviously, again, this was the 1880s and 90s, but they showed like footage in this case of like, a pig that's about to be, slaughtered and they're holding it and it's shaking around. They're using all these sound effects to make it sound even more disturbing. I think it really freaked the hell out of a lot of us because a lot of us at that time were like, between ages 14 to 17 years old at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I think we even had a few that were like even as young as 13 watching it. So we
Mm-hmm.
had like quite a diverse age of audiences. And I still remember the teacher was like talking during those scenes as this to calm us down in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Scared the hell out of us though.
Right.
But anyways,
So yeah, the opening scene where like Vincent Gray, the like former patient, right when like he shows up in like the bathroom, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, chilling scene. But apparently like Mark, no, not Mark, his brother Donnie Wahlberg, well apparently like improvised the whole stripping down to his underwear. Apparently,
makes
yeah,
a
like
lot of sense if you did that.
apparently originally he was supposed to have like gothic clothing on, but they decided to change that, make it. It's like it's like why would he be wearing clothes if he just wants to end his own life, like get all bloody like that? So yeah, like apparently he pitched the idea to M Night Shyamalan and he accepted, but they wanted to make sure he was at least in his underwear so they could at least get a PG-13 rating still.
You know, I think them doing it in him doing it in his
That's right.
underwear was a lot better than doing a goth thing because it more made into the character. The guy's not mentally stable.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
Thomas
know,
brings up, he says that Donnie Wahlberg, yes, he was in New Kids on the Block, and that was huge in the 80s.
he was part of New Kids on the Block,
He was.
the musical group.
Yep.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, I knew who they were. Never listened to the music. I'm too old for them. But you know,
Yeah.
my kids knew who they were.
Yeah.
You
I,
know,
I knew who they were too, but I didn't really hear much from them though, honestly.
you know.
Just it's not that I just was not I was not it's not that I was not necessarily interested. I just never had the opportunity. So
Right.
it is what
And
it is.
let's see. There's one child actor in who had a decent career. Let's see. Trevor Morgan, who played one of the bad kids in The Sixth Sense. He went on to star in like let's see, Jurassic Park 3. He played Eric in that.
Oh yeah. I remember him.
Yeah. Oh god, I remember seeing that movie in theaters. That was back in 2001.
2001.
2001. I saw that with my dad.
I like
I was
that
just
Jurassic.
watching parts. I was
You
just
know,
watching
that's another
a few years ago.
franchise that really did a good job with their
Hmm.
sequels was Jurassic Park.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
had yeah, well, I didn't like the last one, Dominion. I didn't like it.
Well, I
I didn't
haven't
see
seen
that one.
I saw them up to I think what was is I forgot what the one was that the last one I saw.
Yeah.
It
I also
wasn't
remember
Dominion.
him
It
in
was before
this.
that.
Yeah, I also remember him in this teen drama film. It had Josh from Drake and Josh. I also had
Oh,
it had
John
yeah, it had Rory Culkin. Mean Creek. That's what it
Hmm.
was.
Freak. Okay.
Yeah.
Rory Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's brother.
Yep. That movie was it got dark. It
Oh,
did.
I'm sure.
But
You know what? I just thought of something. I gotta say because since we're talking so much about 1999, you know what also came out that year too, Don? I just realized not a movie, but a TV show. That
yeah.
was when the second reboot of Are You Afraid of the Dark began, but that was just that real short like season they had from 1999 till 2000.
Right.
You know, I just realized something. You would know what you should have done for today, since today is April 1st, aka April
Oh, April
Fool's
Fool's
Day.
I
Day.
know. I was thinking
You
that all
could
day
have
today.
done the movie April
We
Fool's
could have
Day.
done that, but we did that in the very first year we did Fear Fans.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, I
and every,
wasn't here then, though.
yeah. Unfortunately, it was.
We already covered that one. Yeah, but
You can always do like a episode every now and then to like come back to a particular movie if there's just like
we
not
would have to
enough
wait. We would probably have to wait for at least another 7 years before we could do that on an April 1st again.
Yeah.
okay. Not sure why 7 years, but okay.
Yeah, because think about it. Because it's about in roughly 6 or 7 years, it'll be a Tuesday, April 1st again. So
Okay. Yep.
you
Okay,
see
that
what I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, and Easter will fall on 420
Which,
Hmm.
speaking of which,
this
I mean,
year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
speaking of which, when I get off after this, I'm gonna again, like I said earlier, sadly, I'm supposed to be starting to take down the St. Patrick's Day decorations, but the Easter stuff will take its place. So you guys will see the basement will be going under another appearance next time you guys see me on camera.
So you're gonna come dressed as a rabbit then too?
Oh God, please don't.
Yeah.
Please
Well,
As a
don't.
I
really
think you were
cute
there
bunny
last
rabbit
year when I dressed up for
with a puffy tail, you
Oh
know,
God.
But it should be pink like the
and them
strawberry
ears.
the
Yeah,
strawberry
I have ears that light up actually.
the strawberry quick rabbit.
But anyway, let's see. Oh, back to Haley Joel Osment. It's also worth noting that his sister is Emily Osment. Yeah, she's also an actress herself. She has played. She's been mainly like done all kinds of TV shows. She was in Young Sheldon.
Hmm.
Yeah, Emily Osment. Yeah, yeah. She. Let's see. What was her name? What was her name? Mandy. Yes, she played Mandy. Georgie's girlfriend to be a turned wife. Yeah, and they're in that show together now. That current show, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. So, yeah, when they announced that show, I'm just like, they're really gonna milk the hell out of the prequel series of Big Bang Theory, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah, because seriously, I love the Big Bang Theory, and it's like Young Sheldon. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but now they're just like really trying to expand as much as they can down there, and I'm just like, man, how much further are they going to take this?
That
Oh,
goes
man.
back to the theory that Halloween Hollywood's got no imagination.
I know they don't. I was gonna say Halloween.
Hey.
I I'm sorry.
Hollywood,
My
I get.
mind's just kind of like screwed up today.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth.
Yeah, they just want to expand it as much as they can. And Levi, and wait a minute, something's come back to me. I think I saw her when she was a little girl. I think I saw her in like the Spy Kids movies from back in the early 2000s.
Oh my
Mm.
god! Yeah, I forgot. I'm not gonna lie, Don. I actually forgot about those movies.
Yeah, some people forget those movies even exist now. It's like, yeah, they were a big deal to kids back then, but today people are just like, huh,
I
towards
mean,
it.
I wasn't too crazy about them, but I never thought but yeah, I actually forgot about those movies. I think we used to have the Spy Kids 3D. I think I had like three copies of that DVD when that movie when it first came
What?
out because
That
Why
had
would you
a, that had
why
a
would you have
lot
three
of
copies of the same movie?
I don't know why. It was like I think it was like my like a birthday present or something like that, and like everybody ended up getting me that same movie
Oh my
like three
god.
times. I think we had to end up like selling two of them on Amazon.
That actually happened to me once before. I got two copies of the same movie for Christmas, and it was Die Hard.
Yeah, it was like
Mm.
it
That's
was.
why
I
you
was
got
like,
to tell people never to buy you movies
And then I
because
ended up buying a
you end up,
Blu-ray copy years later.
then you end up getting two or three copies of the same movie sometime. I
you
got
Unless
know,
they
it's like
ask you what you want for Christmas, right?
right.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, in this case,
and
like with Spy Kids, okay, that was 2003. So, yeah, that would have been around for my 10th birthday at that time. So they
yeah,
ended up getting me like my other
2001,
classmates at the time. Yeah, they ended up
2001.
getting me like three copies of that same movie.
Yeah, Nick, you're thinking 2001. That's what's but she was in the
No, no,
sequel.
the third movie.
The
That
third
was
one. Oh yeah, the
2000.
third one. Yes, third one was 2000. Yeah, yeah, that's right. And but now it's like thinking about Die Hard, thinking about The Sixth Sense. I just feel bad for Bruce Willis because he's
Hmm.
in really bad shape now
Yeah.
because his dementia. You know, he just turned 70, and for the past
Yeah,
few years, for the past like few years, he's been suffering from this form of dementia that's really taken its toll on him, and he can't even talk anymore.
I know it's really
No.
sad of
Yep.
where things have gone downhill for him, which
Yeah.
means as
You
much
know,
as I hate to think this, he's probably not far from the end for his life
well,
at this point.
he
I hate
is,
Yeah.
I hate thinking about that, man. I really do.
but he did a lot of great stuff
He
before he
did.
got bad. I mean, because he got a start in TV doing that moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a lot of
And
yeah,
then
like
you had the actor that came out of there that wasn't so well known, but he got later well known as Booger
Mhm.
yep.
from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I remember him, yeah, from the Die Hard movies. The Fifth Element, that was a good one.
Hmm.
There
Oh,
was a documentary that he was
He
also on
did
back
some
in
good
2000.
movies, really
Yeah,
good ones.
he did.
He made good choices.
yes, he did.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had quite the career. So
Well, well.
even though
I mean,
sadly he's going to be
during the last 5 years of his career, he starred in some very mediocre action
yeah,
and sci-fi films. So
Hmm.
his career was going pretty much downhill in the end.
yeah,
That's
which
Well,
true.
that happened to Michael J. Fox too, because he started
Hmm.
appearing, smaller parts, and started doing a TV series towards the end and all of this, and to the point where they replaced him on that TV series with somebody else because he could no longer do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his Parkinson's got real bad.
right.
Hmm.
So,
And that's kind of the sad part reality with a lot
Yeah,
of these stars. I mean, it is true. He has left a legacy with these movies that he made. It's just
Hmm.
sad to know that he can no longer do it because not only just with his age, but also with what he's going through. And that's just it's definitely like I said, it's sad knowing that he just doesn't do this stuff anymore. But at least again, he made movies that could still
yeah,
be watched for
and
generations and decades to come.
Yeah.
the same thing's been happening to Jack Nicholson too. He's got dementia as well, and he had to retire from acting for because of it.
So Chanel was watching from my personal page, and she just said Louis Body, the same kind Robin Williams killed himself over. Bruce Williams, sorry, Bruce Willis has. That's
Oh,
Hmm.
what it's called, Louis Body, I think, in a
Blue
way,
Body,
which
yeah.
is like a type of. I've never heard of that term. I guess Chanel, if you can explain that a little bit more,
yeah.
if
I
that's
was I was reading that once, and it wasn't just they say, well, it's the same thing but Robin Williams was also had a severe case of depression
Yep.
Yep.
on top of the mental disorder, so he just couldn't handle it no more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
why he took his own life. It's sad anytime somebody takes their own life, and especially over a mental disorder.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad, and they need to get these people some better help.
let's see. The Charlie Brown actor did that
Oh yeah.
for that reason.
Peter.
I had an uncle. It's hard for me to go to Oregon, Wisconsin because, especially the bowling alley there, he
Yeah.
killed himself with a shotgun
Oh.
out out in the parking lot, in the back of the parking lot of the bowling alley
Oh,
in
Jesus.
Oregon, Wisconsin. And he was my favorite uncle, and his problem was he was paranoid schizophrenic.
Yeah, I think that's
And
what
he
that's what that.
stopped taking his medicine.
Yeah, I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem that that actor who played Charlie Brown had. And
Peter
let's see.
Robbins. Well, and it's not only just with was going because again, growing up, I've been a huge Charlie Brown fan myself. Peter Robbins, unfortunately, if you guys have ever heard, he didn't make some. He made some pretty bad choices,
He did.
which had him go to jail a few times. Part of it was domestic violence, but he was trying his absolute best of trying to be a better person. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I just looked up. I didn't even know about this. He actually was he had discussed before his death. He discussed plans to write an autobiography, a book of his own,
Mm-hmm.
ironically called titled "Confessions of a Blockhead,"
Oh man.
detailing his life, his jail
Mm-hmm.
experiences, and his future. But sadly, he was unable to finish it before his death. So it's a book that's never been finished.
Yeah. Let's see. Here, I wanted to get back to the movie. Let's see. Yeah, so we covered like the scenes where like the when the ghosts appear and the temperature drops down. I
Mm-hmm.
like how they did not use CGI
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for the
practical
Yeah.
effects.
yeah. I like how they didn't use CGI for Cole's like where you exhale you could see his breath. They
Mm-hmm.
actually did have to try to make that room like super cold. They wanted to give it some serious realism because they felt like CGI would have looked cheap. And I gotta say, I agree with them.
Yeah. But don't you feel that there's not enough movies portraying even a subject having viewing these unforeseen spirits that everyone views like, oh, I got scared, oh yeah, but no one sees the other side of them, the
Yeah,
other side of
Yeah.
these people and how they feel it and how they see it. I think that was the only one movie that ever did that, and it wasn't a comedy, it was a serious movie. And how a child goes
Ooh,
through these emotions of what they see and how he has to deal with it.
Oh,
I don't.
my condolences to you, Braxton.
yeah.
That must have been horrific.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, Braxton.
Yeah.
And you make a good point too, Irene, with that because it's like, like in addition to like just the representation of how they feel, it's like you see that I think in a lot more of the earlier ghost
Mm,
movies, but just
yeah.
you just don't
Yeah.
really see it as much, with movies nowadays. I mean, every now and then, I mean, there's been a few of them, like every now and then, but just not as many as there used to be prior to, I would say, like to around 2010, 2011 was when they really
Hmm.
started drifting away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
plus, remember, a long time ago in the past, when these people were children, they were all committed to an insane asylum, right?
I know.
And yeah, because they thought they were cuckoos in the head, but they weren't. They were just sensitive people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it feels like in the past, like insane asylums had locked up people for all the wrong reasons,
I know. It
Yep.
was it was
Yeah.
real unfortunate at that
and
time. But
they've
people,
done that to autistic people too.
yes, they
Yep.
have. They're
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
because
people that
you didn't fit in the same square, round, triangle box, they'd put you away because,
Yep,
yeah, you're different.
there's a
it was
straight jacket. Try this on for size.
Yeah, I mean, it was just well,
And
and I've talked about this before. I did that with a particular notorious location like that with Penhurst State School Medical Hospital in Spring City, Pennsylvania, not too far from Philadelphia. And
Mm-hmm.
that was, and I did a Nick Files episode on that, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a particular example of how, unfortunately, Don, people like you and me
Mm-hmm.
were often incarcerated at a
Yeah.
place like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you know what? I think
just
they still
terrible.
do it even to this day in certain
Well,
countries.
of course they do. They,
Yeah.
they, they still don't. I mean, they take these people that have, you know, a mental disorder or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and, they say, okay, you need these meds. But then again, they don't always follow up, or these people say, I don't like the way I feel on these meds. You
Yeah.
know, I've had some of those mental meds because I'm considered bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't take those fucking things. Excuse me.
No.
I don't
Yeah,
take those meds because of the way they made me feel while I was taking them.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
You
Guys,
know,
Let's
real
see.
quick, I just wanted to say what Chanel got back to me about that answer, like with what Bruce Willis is going through with the dementia and stuff. What I was saying about, so she just said Lewy body dementia, otherwise known as LBD. It's a progressive brain disease that occurs when abnormal protein deposits called Lewy bodies build up in the brain. These
Oh,
deposits these deposits affect the brain's control of movement. So yeah, it's a type of dementia, but also can cause other issues as well. So that's what he's current. That's another, you know, another major reason why sadly he had to retire from really doing movies anymore, because it
my
sounds
God.
like a quite severe form of dementia.
It does sound like it. And well, before we wrap this up, we definitely got to talk about one of the biggest things this movie is known for, and that is the plot twist.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
right after Malcolm has helped Cole figure out how to deal with the ghosts, like Stella says, hey, like maybe these ghosts aren't really here to just terrify and hurt you. Maybe you should just listen to them. Maybe they need help.
Mm-hmm.
And what the ghosts want is help to move on into the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And like Malcolm, when he goes home, he takes Cole's advice and talks to his wife while she's asleep, and it says that like you never came second. You were I've always loved you. But then she drops the ring, and that his wedding ring, and then she realizes he has not been wearing his ring this entire time.
Oh
And
wow.
she did foreshadow this earlier at the jewelry shop, saying that jewelry, whoever owned that and had died, is attached to that to a piece of jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, there was foreshadowing to this. And then he realized, oh wait, and then he checked out his back. He had a gunshot wound on his back. It never shows him in that shirt with his back turned because he always had a coat on.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's why we didn't see that gunshot wound.
Which makes a lot
Wow.
of
Yeah,
sense.
and yeah. So
Wow.
when you look back at the scenes, it really all adds up. Like nobody else interacts with him aside from Cole directly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he could see him. So
Yeah,
But
like
yes, he's the only one who's capable of
but
seeing him because
but it makes you as you're watching this, it makes you kind of puts you in his shoes because the whole time you're watching it, you're thinking Bruce Willis is still alive.
and not
Yeah.
only that, when you realize
Well, because he's sitting there talking with
yeah,
the boy, and his mom's in the same room, so you think
yeah,
he's talking
but
to all three of them, but he's only talking to the kid.
yeah,
and when you
exactly.
realize too that he is a ghost himself, that's
Yeah.
obvious where
Yeah,
it goes to show that every time he's been around Bruce Willis, especially like when we were talking earlier about the funeral scene, it's like in
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
reality, he was basically all by himself,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
just nobody could see Willis's
yeah,
spirit.
yeah. In that,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. In that funeral scene, nobody else interacted with him.
No
Nobody.
one did, and you notice no one interacted, so he was basically he was by himself.
And nobody
Yeah.
interacted with him except the ghost that slid him the box at the funeral.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
When at the girl's
Yeah,
funeral, he grabbed the box and they just kind of nobody interacted. He walked through that crowd of people with the box all by himself until he interacted with the dad,
that's right.
and said,
And
"I'm so and so, and I think she wanted you to have this or tell you
Mm.
something." you know.
Yeah,
And all you see is Bruce Willis standing there, nobody interacting with him, just
Mhm.
standing there watching the whole thing go down.
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. So, and then he realized what was really going on. He was a ghost and he had unfinished business. He wanted
Mhm.
to redeem himself before, like, because here's the thing, he didn't even know he was dead this whole time. He didn't
Yep.
realize it.
Yeah.
Which
And,
is again
but,
another
but yeah,
example.
he was just, yeah, when he did realize it, he's like, wait a minute, I'm still here because I had unfinished business. So I wanted to redeem myself for a past
Mhm.
failure,
Mhm.
being Vincent.
Mhm.
Yeah. Vincent was his failure. Cole was his redemption.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Cole was his
That's
key to
another
moving on.
Yep.
and
Mhm.
that's
And
another
then,
example of how like real life ghosts pretty much exist in a way, like where you have a lot of spirits that have, oh, hi there,
hey,
Hunter.
hey, yeah,
Um,
Hunter, how's it going?
Virginia Country is that a new viewer done or
I don't think I know this one, but regardless, welcome.
yeah, welcome, welcome. What
Yeah.
I was gonna say
So
was yeah, I mean, it's another example of like how you have real spirits out there that half the time they don't even realize that they're dead, and they
Mhm.
have this business
yeah,
that they
and
want
Bruce
to finish
Willis.
up before they're able to cross over into the
Mhm.
afterlife rest.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's why I think again, like we said, I know I said this, but alongside the others, I would pretty much say, and not just from the story perspective, but also more importantly, um, when we were saying about the use of practical effects, not CGI in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
I think to me, both The Sixth Sense and the others, these are the last real horror
Mhm.
films, at least in my opinion, that really had
what's that
kind of.
noise?
Yeah, I was wondering what that noise was too. You guys hear that too?
Mhm.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like something's running,
Yeah,
like a vacuum or something.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry, that was by me. What I was just going to say was to me, these were the last, these were probably some of the last few, I mean, ghost films out there that really relied more on practical effects.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many
mhm,
of the other movies that have been made every now, most of the time have all been changed up with CGI that's heavily relied
yeah,
upon nowadays.
right.
Yeah.
And in the end, Bruce Willis like went by to his wife, but pretty much just saying goodbye to her and that he loved her while she was sleeping. That's the only way she was able to acknowledge him. And then
Yes.
the screen turns to white, and yeah, just like that, he's in the afterlife. He's at peace.
But it's kind of funny
Chanel,
because I wonder
oops,
if they
sorry.
did any research about it. Because in some cases, a spirit will only talk to one person who they really trust, and they won't go and reveal themselves to many people like people think they do. But they sometimes they only rely on one person only, or that individual will see them because they, I don't know, how would you say, they trust that only one person rather than many people. So I wonder if they did any research before they made that movie, because there's a lot of things in there that you wouldn't be able to understand unless you know.
Yeah, I think they might have. Yeah, there's a good chance. Oh, Hunter, you're from. Oh, you're born in
Chesapeake,
Virginia.
Virginia,
Oh,
raised in North
and
Carolina.
nice.
And funny enough,
Yeah, like
Hunter, we
I've
just
been to
had
Virginia once before. It seems pretty nice there. But yeah, North Carolina, I've been hearing good things about that, especially along the coast. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely have to go there one day.
I I have not been to either of the Carolinas. I haven't been to Virginia, although I have been to West Virginia. But actually, I'll just throw this out. Hunter, we actually had someone else from Virginia watching, and that was Ed. He's from Virginia. I think he's from Northern Virginia in this case.
Nice.
Um, Real quick, Chanel had said in the comments here, and she makes a good point. Any scene with a ghost in it was signaled by something in red, which actually now makes a lot more sense once again that there
Hmm.
was the color red at times that was sometimes
Huh. He froze up.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Joe, I think it's coming from your end. I see your microphone icon is going off.
Yeah, it might be. You might be hearing the computer fan.
Yeah, Mike, that's probably
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
think
was
that's
like
what
a
that
fan or
is.
something.
Yeah. It sounds like
Braxton, I just want to
something.
say to Braxton again because he and Kate have been going back and forth with their conversation. once
Yeah.
again, our complete condolences
Yes.
for
Yeah.
your cousin.
Yeah. Like that's yeah. Then that's something that no one should ever have to go through, losing a loved one like that.
But I
Yeah.
just went through something like that, obviously, 2 years ago. I told you guys before I lost a cousin of mine also to suicide. I wish I could have, none of us saw it coming. I wish we could have, I wish I could have done something to help him out. And he
Yeah.
was a guy who, prior to this, he loved listening to my ghost story, my paranormal gathering. So rest in peace for him.
Yeah. I had I was gonna I didn't I was gonna say this before, but now I am. I had a frat brother who committed suicide during the last year of my school.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Trent. He was happiest guy I knew, and that made this his you know shooting himself just seemed completely out of nowhere.
Right,
Mm.
right.
Yeah, it's can't believe it's been 10 years now.
I know.
But you have to understand that they were in pain themselves. So you have to understand that it's like, I don't know, other religions feel it's a no-no, but you have to understand their pain and how they felt and how they wanted that release of pain, and how, I don't know, they may be finding their own happiness elsewhere than where they had before. It's 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 a little bit hard for, I don't know. I think I live in a different country and different environment, but
Right,
Yeah,
right.
well, I can kind of see
it,
what you're
it,
saying.
it's not bad. It's bad considering how they offer themselves, but it's not, because it's a release of pain. Your inner pain, your soul pain, your heart pain, your mind, your soul, your body. How horrible they felt, and it's not how we feel with them. It's how they feel with themselves,
Right.
and
Yeah.
how maybe better they are now because of what they did for themselves to release that pain.
Hmm.
In the case with my
Well,
cousin, I mean, just to make it real short, he was unfortunately depressed, and he just didn't have a lot of social interactions, a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Or had we known that he just didn't have very many friends done, I'm going to be honest, I probably would have
You know,
really would have included him within our social group, and more importantly, even if he didn't know too much about the paranormal as much as I do, or like these podcasts,
seen
I would
13.
have been more than happy to try to get him on as a guest,
Mm-hmm.
even just to hang out and chat, just so he had, some kind of interaction with us. And when he passed away, sadly, he was a number of years younger. He was only 25 years old when
Mm-hmm.
and his name, and like I said, his
Thanks,
name
man.
was also Nick too. So
Damn.
it's still hard to believe that he's gone. Uh,
it's just I
Oh,
I've
just
been down that road. I've gotten that depressed. Obviously I didn't succeed, but I'm just saying I've gotten that depressed and stuff. And today, that was in my younger days.
definitely, Kate. Thank you. Thanks so much for putting that out there for people who need it.
yeah, that's always important. Thanks, Kate.
Today,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's like
There's always
I
help
don't
out there.
I don't understand this because all you got to do, like Kate's put it up, you got to find somebody that can help you.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
There's help out there. If you, it's not always medicine. It's just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes being able to talk things out and
Mm-hmm.
being able how to figure out, okay, I'm in a very dark place. I'm very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't work this out by myself. I need somebody to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
yep.
if they don't have that somebody to talk to or some place to vent, they go deeper and darker. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that can come quite quickly. And when it gets down to that point, you just don't give a shit no more, you
Well,
know.
yeah.
And I got committed for a short time because I tried to off myself.
Look what
And
Kate
the
also
police got
commented on.
called, and then I got taken to the hospital, and then I get put into the sixth floor or whatever floor the hospital was because it
Yeah.
was a mental ward, and you're locked up there for a while now because you tried to off yourself.
Right. Yeah, but
Where I
thanks
lived,
again for putting
it
this
was
out there, Kate.
it was
Thanks,
worse
Mike.
because I don't want to talk about. I can't talk about it in detail, but I'll go over it very lightly. Where I used to live, I think Nick knew about it. People off themselves, and when we moved out, there was the 19th person that did that. And we said, my husband said, "Okay, we're gonna pick up our bags. Yeah, we're gonna leave. Okay, we're moving." My husband said, "Okay, we're moving. Yeah, we're
Yeah, I'm just
moving."
looking
Yeah.
at Jackson's comment.
And it was the most
Oh,
like
geez.
you.
Sorry, Braxton.
It was the residual energy of that place made people wanna assess themselves. And the last time when we moved out was summertime, right before school ended. School ends on the 21st of July, so it was right before that time when school ended. There was a lady who went pew off the 11th floor, and
Oh,
and the
jeez.
police were knocking on everybody's doors and ringing doorbells and said, "Do you know this person?" They go, "No, we don't know this person." And it
Right,
was 7 o'clock
right.
in the morning, and the kids had to be at school before 7.
Oh my
They
God.
had to leave the house at
Jesus.
7:45.
Isn't there a
And
forest somewhere called the Suicide
Yeah,
Forest?
yeah,
There
Alkika
is.
yeah, yeah.
Alkika Hero
There's
Forest.
also suicide waterfall. Like, yeah, but I mean, this condo should be condemned. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
able to buy it because you should be able to live there. Let's put it that way. Because the moment you move there, you'd open up this portal and things start happening to you. Right?
Right.
Either you lose your money, you go into debt so deep you can't come out of it, or you die from a horrible death like heart attack or cancer or something like that, or you get divorced, or all the above, right? And
Oh, Joe,
so,
here's something for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what
was trying to figure out what he's talking about.
yeah.
Oh wait, it's behind me.
yeah, behind you, the
There.
license plate. Sorry, Irene. Go ahead.
You
Yeah.
know, that's just a small dabble of my collection. You haven't
Yeah.
seen my prize of that collection, and I can show you because it's right here. I just have to lift it up, hopefully without dropping it.
Sorry, Irene. We didn't mean to cut you
What
off.
you're
Yeah,
about to
I
see,
apologize.
keep watching, Hunter. What you're about to see is a one of a kind collectible. I mean, there's a lot of this photograph, but none this huge and made into a clock.
Oh, Jesus,
Mm.
Braxton.
And when I was in my early 20s,
Hope she's okay.
I got offered $20,000 for this clock,
Wow.
but because it's got too much sentimental value, I'll never sell it.
What?
I was gonna say, I don't know if I. Oh,
Oh,
wow, I don't think we've seen that,
Ooh.
Joe.
impressive.
Check that out.
Now this thing
Whoa.
is huge. It weighs a lot. Yes, it's press board, as you can see on the back,
Can you full
but
screen it, done?
Here, yeah, let me
down
max it.
here is the artist's signature, and it shows you that it's one of so many. It's one of this is number 9 of 1000 or 1970. Yeah, so this was actually no. This I think this was made in August of '79.
Oh,
Wow.
so 2 years after his death.
Yeah,
Wow,
Amazing.
that's incredible.
so
It's in great shape.
it's actually signed by the woman that made this, Deborah
Incredible.
Colburn
Very
Roland.
sorry, Thomas.
Roland. This is just one of many collectibles that I have, but this is the most valuable piece.
That is awesome. That really
Amazing.
is,
It
Joe.
The
is.
other two are hanging on my kitchen wall.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, sorry about that, Irene.
It's okay.
So,
So,
we were talking about the forest, I think.
We
yeah,
were talking
Yeah,
briefly about
I
that.
asked if that forest was in Japan.
Yeah, that's
it
From what
Alkika
I've
is.
heard
Hero
It's
about
Forest.
it.
underneath Mount Fuji, which is also haunted. Which
Yep.
that whole area is like nope. But they also, that's one road. There's one highway leading. You go to the mountains where they have the shrine where tons of samurai warriors died, and then you go a little bit further. You get the suicide waterfall, where a lot of people off themselves because when Japan lost the war, they didn't
Thank you.
want MacArthur running the country, so they all jumped
Yeah.
into the waterfall, and then the end part of that area is the Suicide Forest and Mount Fuji. So it's just one highway going off to all those areas, and it's kind of like creepy, right? No.
I imagine.
It's an eerie atmosphere. I've seen pictures of it, and not only because again, Aokigahara Forest is right on the base of Mount Fuji,
Yep.
so it's not only just the fact that there have been so many suicides, and these suicides have been going as far, like what you said, it's been going as far back as the 1950s.
Yep.
So
Yep.
therefore, so in other words, so this has still been going on for decades, and it's
Hmm.
actually, you probably know this too, Irene. They say it's actually the second most popular place in the world to commit suicide after San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, that's a bit.
But
No,
it,
Golden Gate Bridge. That's another big one. Yeah.
yeah, well, and Aokigahara Forest is number 2 on that list, and it's not only just the suicides though.
Mm.
Because of the relatively sparse, large area that
Yeah.
covers Mount Fuji. Um, it was. It's also a place too that people can, unless you follow the certain path lines, it's also a place that you could easily get lost in.
Yeah. And
So,
you
'cause-
don't come out. Once you go in, you don't come out. That's
yeah,
why when people say, like from America, say, "I want to go to zoo," I said, "You got to be crazy, right?" And
Yep.
then
I'd
when I
go
say,
through there. I'd walk through it. I bet
"No,"
you I'd find my way out too.
but you
well, and it's
see,
also a place too that's haunted by what's referred to as the Yuri over
yeah,
there, if I'm saying, which is Japanese for angry ghosts.
yeah,
So,
you go there to die. You don't go there to visit,
right.
and that's the rule that we have. I will take you there, but don't you dare go in it because I can't guarantee your safety. And if you don't listen to what I say, then I'm not taking you there. That's my rule.
Hmm.
And I still live up to that rule. And my husband says the same thing. I will take you to the suicide waterfall. It's a lot safer. Um, you won't get entrapped by
I
with
can
the forces
understand that.
there.
I
And
don't
but
blame you.
you yeah, you could go there to lay flowers or to bring Japanese wine or bring water, but you don't go in there. It's just a no-no. And it's like respecting the dead in that place.
Right.
To respect them means you don't make a spectacle of them, and you don't make videos of them. It's just no. Like a lot of people got kicked out of there because they were making videos and they were kicking the when they
Yeah,
found a dead body, they kicked the person, and
Oh,
so
I've seen
that's why they
videos
were
like that.
condemned from going in this country ever again. If you don't respect it, the rules of the dead here, you shouldn't be going there.
yeah, that disgusts me. Desecrating remains like that. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very serious rule, and obviously the videos that I've seen, they are obviously like of American tourists that come in, and they're
Mm,
just like completely. The only video I've ever seen that didn't do anything like that, but it was still risky for them. Was two guys who went into that forest, obviously during the day, and during that time, even watching it was just eerie. Just that's the other thing, just knowing how eerily quiet it is
yeah.
because there's literally like a lack of wildlife in that
Mm,
forest. It's
nope. There's no
Isn't
bugs,
there? Isn't
no
there? All right,
birds,
Nick.
no
Isn't
nothing.
there a spot? Isn't there a spot where it's like a clearing where nothing grows, like a
It,
big circle area where
yep.
nothing
Yep.
grows
I
in
Yep.
think
that
so.
spot? No
And the
trees, no
trees go
grass.
really weird. The
Yep,
trees go really weird. They don't grow straight like this. They
yeah,
intertwine
they're kind
and
of
crooked. Yeah,
twisted,
intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
almost like it's just such a they just bend at such weird angles, and also
Yeah.
these two guys that also went in, although they obviously were at least were a little bit better than other previous, being respectful. They did, however, come across a driver's license that they found in the grass, and it was
Mm,
a driver's license that obviously they obviously was in Japanese, but they still were able to read the year of it, and it was from 1988. So they
mm-hmm.
got someone's license from that from that year, which was probably most likely one of the suicide victims. And it's a place that's really has quite a dark history to it. And
Mm.
just like Don, to throw out another thing too, just like with the Golden Gate Bridge, in
Yep.
addition to being the second most popular place for suicide, obviously don't want to encourage it, but just
No.
like the Golden Gate Bridge, they have signs all throughout the forest, both in Japanese and English, saying things, like life is precious or think of your family,
Yep.
that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
they do that all the time everywhere. Yeah, like at places that's frequented. Yeah.
And on the Golden Gate Bridge, they got to jump. No,
yeah, they jump.
They
Although
do.
they've been putting fences around and like nets so
Yeah. They've
you
been
can't jump
putting
into
some
the bay.
new stuff around to like try to prevent people from doing that. Yeah.
when you say that, when you talk about the Golden Gate Bridge in that way, it makes me think of an old comedy type thing, and they did the commercial for if you want to commit suicide, visit the Golden Gate Bridge. It's your
Oh,
gate to the
Oh,
pearly gates, and
oh my God.
the Golden Gate to the pearly gates. Well,
Mm.
if you get hesitant, we'll have an attendant come out and talk you into
yeah.
jumping.
Yeah. Nobody should encourage that.
That
Nope.
no,
But
definitely.
you got to realize this was the comedy thing of the early 60s or late 60s, early 70s. It was one of these things where it was spoofing the news, and this was one of the commercials.
Mm.
Which that's just never a good thing to do,
Nope.
regardless of
Mm.
whatever era
But
it is.
every time you talk about that, I go back and think it makes me think about that commercial. But
Yeah.
I've seen things on that forest, and man, that looks just like one evil place.
It
It
is.
does.
And
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Kate had
and,
said to me, Kate
and
had
where something doesn't grow that should naturally grow in a spot, and they
Mm-hmm.
can't figure out why nothing grows there. I'd be a little afraid to walk into those woods for sure.
Same.
Kate
Yeah.
actually said to me, I wanted to respond. She says you
That's
have to
why I said
watch.
I'll take you to the suicide waterfall instead. It's a lot safer.
Yeah. Kate said to me, you have to watch Overnight for the Suicide Force. I've actually seen that video, and what they captured, oh my God, was it's first off they went there after dark,
Oh
so they were
gosh.
there at night, and just the responses and just the evidence they got was just absolutely insane. And
Mm-hmm.
even just watching the video, there was such a negative feeling to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly, I think they did get like I'll just throw this out as an example. I think they did get a few responses from victims those that probably committed suicide like right after World War II. And
Mm-hmm.
I think these investigators, I believe, were trying to send the message, obviously, not only that the war had ended so long ago, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously relations have been better between the United States and Japan ever since, we become friendly nations,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to send, I think they were hoping that maybe it would bring some kind of comfort to the deceased that, died shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
And even if it did bring some kind of peace to it in that case, where now that America and Japan are like best friends, unfortunately, though, it didn't stop them from getting all this other insane activity or whatever was lurking in those
Because
woods.
I gotta, I kind of got this theory. You can go in there. Let's say you walk into that forest and you're just going to explore, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden you get all this heavy, dark feeling and emotions over you. You can go
Mm-hmm.
in there a happy-go-lucky guy, don't want to do nothing. You want to live forever, and then you end up committing suicide in the woods.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's the woods themselves and the spirits and the evil and
Mm-hmm.
all that just pouring on to one person when they walk in there to
Mm-hmm.
drive them to do it.
Yeah.
As a
Well.
paranormal investigator, as much as I love to try to like investigate as many locations as I can, this without a shadow of a doubt, Alkikahara Forest, aka the Suicide Forest, that one I'm a little kind of iffy about. So I'm probably going to go
Yeah.
with Irene and say probably the waterfall. I mean, yes, I try to stay strong for a lot of this, but there's definitely something that's just not right about those woods.
I'll
Definitely.
take you to
Yeah.
the
Clearly.
best haunted um cemetery in Tokyo, which is not
Yeah,
too far away from where I live. That's closer to where I live. It's a lot safer.
I would imagine.
but
All right.
anyways, I
Well,
know it's getting late, Don. I just got your text, so
yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, but we got to wrap this up. Um, yeah. So, The Sixth Sense, one of the
hmm
best horror
Yeah.
thrillers ever. Definitely M Night Shyamalan's best movie before his quality of his work went downhill. For
yeah.
the most part, anyway.
Two
Yeah,
thumbs
Yes,
up.
he got
yes,
Yeah.
Braxton.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
Two thumbs
yeah,
up.
Braxton. That's in
yeah,
Japan. He was asking.
yes,
Yeah.
and yeah, man, he upset a lot of people when he messed with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he did, and also like my least favorite movie that he made was The Happening, and that was like one of the worst horror films I saw in
I,
theaters. And
I've heard
yeah,
of
The
that one.
Happening. Yeah, it's where which we were talking about all the suicide. Like that movie is about people that are just committing suicide by some sort of force. It's like, is there something supernatural involved? Is there some kind of a toxin released in the air? And it's like, it turns out that the reason why people are doing this is just plants, trees. So, like all the plant life sees humanity as a threat, and they're releasing a neurotoxin that makes people kill themselves. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, really? That's your twist, M Night Shyamalan? Come on.
Thank God I didn't see that one. And
Oh
Braxton, to
gosh.
Yeah.
answer your next question, look at this. He says, no, Dalen Spratt of Ghost Bro. Uh, Braxton, actually, and Don, you could relate to this. In fact, not only do I know
Hey,
who
Benson.
Dalen Spratt is, but Don and I have
He loves
actually
my
met the
reaction
Ghost.
videos.
But not only do I know who Dalen is, but Don and I, we met the Ghost Brothers. Remember, Don, when we saw
We
them at
did.
Ohio
We
State
did.
Reformatory? So I've
Yep,
actually met
that's
them
right.
quite a few times. They're awesome dudes. They're great.
Nice. Yeah,
And I
they
just
are.
want to also
Oh, here.
say, just that I
Wanted
also
to
just
respond
want to
to.
say that. Oh, sorry, Don. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to respond to Benson. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some more reaction videos real soon. Yeah, starting tomorrow. There's going to be more of them.
I just also want to say too, just before, and it's for the Sixth Sense too, is that the suspense does so well for that movie as it milks the scares from both the real world and the supernatural world.
hmm
Hmm.
They did
Yeah,
a
that's
good
up
job.
I'd like to see
Braxton.
more movies like that. I'd like to see more movies like that.
I
You
Yeah,
don't
the
wish
have
last
that
to
one we
they
spend a
covered.
whole lot of money.
I
You
know.
have
I
to.
wish
Yeah, the
that
last.
they had come back like the way they used to. I mean, because they're
Yeah.
just
I know.
as like always. It's like these older movies are just so much better than what we
Yeah.
have today. I mean, with the sole exception of maybe like the Conjuring movies, which even those movies they don't really rely too much on CGI as much. I mean,
Mm.
obviously than just like movements and stuff. But
Right.
I just wish more ghost movies were like what they the way they used to be.
Yeah.
Right. That's yeah. I wish for that too. Yeah. So be sure to tune in next week, and we will cover Saw 2. And
And also
wanted to cover
tomorrow,
that one. It feels long overdue.
yeah, and
Don't
also
forget to bring out your electric salt when you do that show.
Yep.
and
Sure thing.
also tomorrow I'm also going to finally wrap up. I don't think I told you on Braxton in particular. He's been watching a lot more of our other podcasts on Things Network now. Like
Oh,
I was told by
nice.
Lois that he was watching their show on Thursday, so he's been watching Nick Files, my show. Excuse me, my show too. So, first off, Braxton, thank you so much for your support for the Things Network and all of our podcasts. But I also just want to say, too, that tomorrow we're going to be wrapping up with the Tri-State Tornado slideshow. I got enough for part 3, which will be the final part. And, yep, we'll be wrapping up with the Tri-State Tornado presentation tomorrow afternoon. And to also respond to Braxton, those are the only black ghost hunters I know because usually black folks don't mess with things like that. But that actually is true, Braxton. I mean, for the longest time, um, yeah, they for the longest time they were, like, as far as I knew, the only black ghost hunters. But we're starting to see an increase of them now. In other words, our
Yeah.
paranormal community is starting to become a lot more diverse, and it's just
Well, it's
Mhm.
because it's becoming more acceptable.
it's becoming
Yep.
more acceptable. And I've actually have met a few other black ghost hunters over these last few years, so we're growing. It's awesome, and it continue. And
That is awesome.
posted earlier today in the Things chat, there's a new paranormal series called Psychic Investigators from another country, which is, as far as I know, is the first of its country to do this. It happens to be surprisingly no other than Ukraine. Ukraine has their first paranormal series, and what's and you can check them out too on YouTube. What's even more amazing is the narration is in English, but the group, obviously, the investigators and citizens speak in their native language. So I know
Saw
Ukraine's
2.
going through a rough period, but that's great that Ukraine is playing a role in the
Yeah.
paranormal field.
Yeah. So yeah, be sure to tune in next week as we cover Saw 2. That is going to be it for this edition of the Fear Fans podcast. Hope you guys enjoy.